Support comes from Missouri Forest Products Association, committed to sustainable and sound conservation of the state's forests, which support more than 41,000 Missouri jobs, resulting in a $10 billion industry. ChooseWood.com.
From St. Louis Public Radio. This is St. Louis on the Air.
Started playing. Some friends showed me, they call them ornaments or trills. It's a special fingering on the keyboard of the accordion, and I've started slowly, and I fell in love ever since.
So this is a sevdalinka, also known as a sevda, a very particular style of Bosnian music.
Yes.
Carol, what went through your mind when you first got to hear this?
It's beautiful music. It's sort of a pining, melancholy sound, but it's absolutely gorgeous.
I'm Sarah Fensky. For the last 2 years, Classic 107.3 FM has brought the music of the world to St. Louis kids. Its Musical Ancestries program has highlighted the music of Thailand, West Africa, India, the Caribbean, and more. The newest episode of Musical Ancestries explores the musical traditions of a European nation close to the hearts of many St. Louisans, Bosnia-Herzegovina. And that is a tune from Bosnian accordion virtuoso Ido Krajlek, just one of the many sounds explored in Musical Ancestry's new episode about the music of Bosnia-Herzegovina. And joining us today with more on this program is Carol Comerford. She's the education director of Classic 107.3. Carol, thank you for joining us today.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
So this Musical Ancestries program that your station produces, it doesn't just talk about the music. You also aim to give an understanding of the culture that produced it. How are you doing that?
Oh, absolutely. Well, we look at the history, the geography, we look into the industries. We also look at the traditional clothing, cuisine. Kids love the food part of it. So many different things.
Is it hard to do all that in 25 minutes?
Well, we have supplemental materials, educational materials that are on our website. So, yes, we're limited in 20, 25 minutes we just, thumbnail sketch, through the story. And then we can delve deeper in the educational materials that are online. We have a Prezi, which is a presentation of educational resources that has audio and video and hands-on activities and all kinds of things to really engage the student, engage the child.
So you mentioned the story. The radio part of this is very much a story. How do you do that?
How do we create the story? Well, we do a lot of research. We have a youth education committee, so we do a lot of research on the subject. We talk to members of the community like Amir and many others, the Center for Bosnian Studies. And with all that research and information, then we have Kathy Lutton-Brown, who writes the script. And we always make sure that we have a child in there, sometimes more than one child. And it's all about an adult or a mentor who is sharing their heritage with the child. So often children grow up and they don't really have a relationship. They don't really understand where their ancestors came from. They're in the United States, they're, blending into this kind of community. And so, the story sometimes, it might be the grandmother and the daughter, and they go back to the country and go through the experiences and experience the music and experience the culture. Sometimes for instance, in our Jewish program, we had a cantor, and there was a class of students, and they learned, in that manner. And in this particular one, with our Bosnian one, we have a grandfather who is sharing his story as a someone who came, an immigrant to St. Louis from Bosnia, with his granddaughter and her best friend.
And so there's a story there, a journey story that kids can follow. And that brings us actually to our second guest here today. That is Emir Selesevic. He's an accordionist who's played with the St. Louis Symphony Orchestra. He's also a St. Louis resident of Bosnian descent. So Emir, welcome.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
So how did you end up getting involved with the Bosnian story that Carol's radio station is telling?
Well, that was I believe that Maureen, thanks to Maureen, that she, I believe, got in contact, Carol got in contact with Maureen, and she, of course, said that I would be the person to talk to.
So I'm curious to hear a little bit about your story. I understand you were born in Croatia, and I hope I have all the sequence right. You lived in Bosnia, and then Germany, and then St. Louis. How old were you when you ended up here?
I was 18 years old. I was born and raised in Croatia, and when ex-Yugoslavia was separating, Croatia got into the war, and we escaped to my mom's family who lived in Bosnia. So I continued my musical education in Bosnia, but about a year later, year and a half, the war came down south to Bosnia.
It found you.
Basically, we then moved to Germany, but we could not get a permanent visa to stay, and since we had some family that lived in United States, we immigrated back in November of '94 here in St. Louis.
Okay, so you ended up here in the 90s. And you mentioned earlier you had been studying music or playing music back when you were in Europe. I imagine that was interrupted a bit by all these
Of course
moves.
it was. I've started playing by ear when I was about 6 years old, and then my parents quickly recognized it and enrolled me in a musical school. So I've started in Croatia when I was about 7 years old, and continued all the way until the war, and then moved to Bosnia, and I completed, I went to school in Bosnia, just continued, because it's the same school system, everything. So, and then when war started in Bosnia, we moved to Germany, and then I've kind of lost interest in music, and I have not performed for at least 6-7 years then.
So what brought you back?
A couple of friends want me to perform with them.
Was this here in St. Louis?
Yes.
Or, okay.
Yes. So
once you settled here.
Right. My major instrument was accordion and musical school, and the second instrument was a piano. And I've told them I don't think I will be interested in accordion anymore, so I've played the keyboards. And I was not really satisfied with the sound. You know, you can imitate the sound on a keyboard like accordion sound, but it's electrified. It's not real. So basically, I bought myself a first accordion, I believe it was 1998, and I purchased it and it was broken, totally broken. So did not know anybody who can actually help me fix it, so I started on my own. So that's how I actually started even repairing accordions.
You figured out how to repair it just by playing around with it?
Pretty much, yes.
Wow. You've got some talent there. So you get this accordion repaired and you become a maestro of accordions.
Well, not quite. I have ended up purchasing a couple more accordions because once I open it up and look at the complexity of the instrument, I really didn't end up well. So I ended up buying cheap accordions on yard sales, and then I've destroyed quite a few until I really mastered the instrument, you know. But that's how I actually started. I bought an accordion off of eBay that was claimed that was in perfect shape, but that was really not. So, yeah.
So quite a journey for you and for these accordions. But you ended up becoming really good at playing this accordion and knowing a lot about the music of your people. When you started talking to Carol for this episode, how would you describe Bosnian music?
Well, I was not introduced to Bosnian music until we moved to my mother's parents in Bosnia. And when I started a musical school, that's when I really heard the Sevda and Bosnian music, which I quickly fell in love with it. So I started playing. Some friends showed me, they call them ornaments or trills. It's a special fingering on the keyboard of the accordion. And I've started slowly, and I fell in love ever since.
This is a sevdalinka, also known as a sevda, a very
Yes.
particular style of
Yes.
Bosnian music. Carol, what went through your mind when you first got to hear this?
The music?
Yeah.
It's beautiful music. It's sort of a pining, melancholy sound, but it's absolutely gorgeous. And, Amir describes it as it's about loss. Sometimes it's love loss, sometimes it's loss of, being away from your country, a variety of different things. But it's just really gorgeous music. And a lot of times, the main instrument featured in the music is accordion. So, and there's also, it's vocal, and it's just beautiful.
So I think we should listen to a sevda. This one is by singer Safet Isovic.
Neko tiho ulicom je vruši, tuga mu se osjeća u duši. Ista tuga u meni se javlja, to je pjesma iz mog rodnog kraja. Ista tuga u meni se javlja, to je pjesma.
And that is a sevda by Safet Isovic. Amir, you consider him to be the king of the sevdas.
Well, that's what everybody says. He's really, he's got a unique voice. He's got a special code to his voice that nobody can achieve anything like it. The thrills, like ornamentation that he produces with his voice, it's just so unique and the quality of the voice, it's just amazing.
It is remarkable. Where would you hear a sevda? Is this something that would be played at a wedding or funeral?
Definitely not on a funeral. Bosnians are really not. They're never actually in their tradition. They don't bring any music. It's a sad day, and it's not something that it's done. But you can actually. There's quite a few restaurants in St. Louis area that have live music on Fridays and Saturdays nights. There's a Bosnian festivals that happens once a year. Sometimes I believe it's in September. And we also perform yearly on the international festivals that happen in Tower Grove Park.
So people can catch this multiple places around St. Louis.
Yes, definitely. And then, of course, the projects that we do with the St. Louis Symphony.
And those are to share this music with the city or other places even beyond St. Louis?
I believe even beyond St. Louis. But it's more like a project to show and let St. Louisers know what the Bosnian music sounds like, and like an introduction to the Bosnian music.
We're talking today to Amir Selesovic. He's an accordionist. He's also a St. Louis resident of Bosnian descent. We're also joined by Carol Comerford. She's the education director of Classic 107.3. Their musical Ancestries program explores musical traditions of countries all around the world. Their newest episode, which is going to premiere 10 a.m. this Saturday, it also airs at 7 p.m. Sunday, and it gets into the music of Bosnia-Herzegovina. So we've been talking a lot about the accordion today because that's your instrument. What are some of the other prominent instruments within Bosnian music?
First, when the sevda or Bosnian music got introduced, way back in 15th, 16th centuries, there was no accordion. Accordions started building back in late 1800s. And they were using shargia or saz. It's a string instrument. And until about early 1900s, that's when the accordion got introduced. But other instruments are just like any other modern musical groups. We use guitars, classical guitars, bass guitars, drums, violins, flutes, saxophones, just about any instrument will get.
And that sevda, that's a very specific type of musical style. Does most of Bosnian music have almost that kind of melancholy feeling at its heart?
I do believe so, yes. A sevdalinka, I would categorize it as a sevdalinka for that special kind of a feeling.
Is this something that your people are melancholy people?
I'm not sure.
That's too big a question, right?
Yes.
For any one man to answer. Well, Carol, you've gotten a crash course in Bosnian music as you've been working on this episode. What stands out to you as you've learned about it?
Well, from a music educator, perspective, we look at the theory behind it is the Phrygian mode and that minor second, and that's something we can share with the students. It's really fascinating to learn about these instruments that the children are not exposed to very often. So we have a lot of musical examples in our programs. It's just beautiful music, and there's really some very talented musicians in the St. Louis area. In addition to Amir, some of his colleagues, Ido Sadikovic and Mensur Hadic, are both really outstanding accordionists too. So there's a wealth of talent in the St. Louis area, and we're very fortunate.
And I feel like when you're a kid, an accordion is one of those instruments that just seems like magic. It's so much more exciting than just a piano. Do you get that reaction from kids? They're pretty excited about what you can do with this machine?
Some of the kids that I've went to introduce the instrument, and as a music educational part, they've never seen it, not even on TV. So they were really surprised, and they wonder about it and what does this do, and quite a fun time with the kids, really.
And is this something where kids today are still learning how to play this, that you can continue this tradition?
Well, that's my main goal. That's why actually I have my own accordion shop, including a registered museum with the city of St. Louis. State of Missouri, I'm sorry. And my goal is actually to promote the instrument and then have kids started playing to just enjoy this beautiful instrument.
I understand you've become quite a collector of accordions. How many would you say you have at this point?
Oh, I've stopped counting. I believe it's over 150, maybe 180. Not really
How can
sure.
you possibly play all those?
I don't.
You
That's the bad part. You just can't play them all. Yeah.
Having students there, I'm sure, though, that helps.
Well, have a lot of customers and friends. They come in and play, and, many of them get played. But accordion, if they get played an hour or two a month, they should be still in good condition.
That's good enough for them. So, Carol, in our final minute here, this program started in 2019. I'm curious what kind of reception you've gotten from the kids of St. Louis.
Well, it's been very positive. They really enjoy exploring, this different sounds, and the different styles of music, and really get into the culture and the dance and all those things. They'll let us know what they like best. For instance, they were saying that in the Native American music, they loved the Native American flute sounds, and in our West African program, we showed the relationship between us. West African music, and then took it into rap, and so they love seeing that connection with music that they're familiar with. It gives a little bit more meaning for them, so it's really fun to see.
And do their parents give feedback too?
The parents do. I had a parent who talked specifically. She was born in the Dominican Republic, and she loved that we did a program that included the Dominican island, and that she could share that cultural history with her little daughters, who now are living in the United States and you don't know anything about their mother's, cultural background. So we get that kind of thing. The teachers are really enjoying it, particularly the listening aspect to it, because sometimes children don't have that time to really focus and be quiet and listen. So there's so many aspects that are really becoming popular.
Well, we hope people will tune in for the Bosnian episode. That again premieres 10 a.m. this Saturday. You can catch it 7 p.m. Sunday. There's another broadcast on Wednesday, June 30th. We have all that information on our website, stlpr.org. And that again is on 107.3 FM. Carol Comerford, Education Director of Classic 107.3. Thank you for joining us today.
It's my pleasure.
And Amir Selesevich, thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure.
And we actually have a rare treat today. Before we go out of this show, in honor of Amir's appearance here, we're going to actually share some accordion. Amir, I understand you recorded this just for our producer. Is that right?
Well, she wanted me to have a quick video sample, so I've done something last night real quick. It may not going to sound perfect, but
Well, we appreciate you going above and beyond, and we're going to go out of the show with just a little bit of accordion. This is by Amir Selefsevich. St. Louis on the Air is a production of St. Louis Public Radio. Understanding starts here.
Do you find yourself regularly listening to episodes of St. Louis on the Air? Suggest us to a friend you think might enjoy our conversations. And leave us a review and rating on Apple Podcasts on the App Store. It's the simplest way to help people discover our show. Thanks.
St. Louis Public Radio is a member-supported service of the University of Missouri, St. Louis.
Support comes from Missouri Forest Products Association, committed to sustainable and sound conservation of the state's forests, which support more than 41,000 Missouri jobs, resulting in a $10 billion industry. ChooseWood.com.